Okay, we will call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Somebody move to adopt the agenda, if that's all right.
I just noticed that there was one part, and I don't know if it's necessary, but under Delegation Response,
Yep.
It says Sparta House, carry on, but I'm pretty sure the skate club, is it not?
The delegation response is from last meeting. The
That's-
delegation tonight is
okay,
the
I'm sorry, I
skate
thought
Yeah.
that they were coming as a delegation.
No.
The
Speaking.
skate
that's-
park
No,
is here.
okay, excuse me.
That's
Never mind then.
We're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, if there's any other
Okay.
questions, somebody move to adopt it?
I'll move to adopt the agenda as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Minutes from September 24th. Any questions?
Detail man?
It's detailed.
That's great.
That's coming later, don't you worry. No, we're good.
We're good? Good. Okay, could I get a motion, please, to accept the September 24th?
I'll make the motion that we accept
Councillor
the
Moore, all in
minutes from
favor?
September 24th.
Carried. Okay, we'll move right into delegations. Claresholm Skate Park Association, who is your spokesman? Who's?
Hi, I'm Sherry Levesque, John Wenlock from the Skate Park Association. I'm like so nervous, you have no idea.
You want a seat? We got another seat right
No,
here.
I'm good. No,
Oh, you better sit down, you look like you want to fall over.
no, I'm good. I need to practice, so this is good.
Yep.
No,
Have a seat, you'll be comfortable.
Yeah, you have to sit now.
the girl.
Hope
So-
the evening's going okay?
Girl.
We got the association together because we decided as a group of people we need a new skate park. And we've been working on it for, I don't know, almost a year now.
Yeah, give or take.
So we've done lots of fundraising. We have $4,000, but our concept plan that we need from New Line Skate is $6,000. So we are coming to ask if the town of Claresholm could give us the $2,000 so we can get the design up. So then we can go to the different clubs in town with something that's professional to show them and ask for some more money along with all of the other fundraising that we plan on doing.
And we're still waiting for, I guess, society status. So once we do that, we can start applying for grants a little bit more. And that will help us a little bit more of a concrete plan instead of, hey, here's a drawing on some white paper that we did last week.
Right.
But we're trying to get this done. No, it makes it more serious, right? So then
Yeah.
they'll maybe have people actually think, hey, the skateboarding and the Claresholm Skate Park Association are actually, trying hard to get this done for the community, and not just the community, but also the kids, and to bring new kids into the community. Because as a skateboarder, I've always go to communities with skate parks, and I start here first, of course, because my hometown. But it'd be nice to actually just spend the whole day here instead of having to travel to other towns, right? And this, in the long run, will open up the chance to, build more than just one skate park, well, more not just one skate park, but a bigger add-on to in the current, more years to come, hopefully. Phase 1 to 2 to 3, right, eventually, and it will open it up a little bit more to make it more of a recreation park even. We were talking about maybe having a BMX park, because depending on where it is too is a big factor, but depending, maybe add on like a BMX park or a pump bike track. I know those are getting more, I don't know, Google it might know, I don't know personally. Denise is a fan of them though, but it just opens up more recreation for people around town to get out, right? And this will give it a chance for us kids also, and young adults, I guess, in the community to, do more with the community and more skateboarding in the community. The last couple summers I've been trying to do skate park projects to get more kids into skateboarding, and eventually get more people on the skate committee, and the members like Jackson back there is actually one of them, and he's been on board with the committee. And even though he's still in high school, he's still trying to do his part to
Absolutely.
make the community a little bit better, especially for, the younger kids to come. It will open up more of a chance for people, families,
Right.
young families too, to bring in. We heard a lot of good responses from our little booths we had all around Claresholm during the summer festivals, going on during fair days, like during all 3 days of fair days, I think, at least Saturday, Sunday. We were out and about for a couple other places.
Well,
I'm
and
trying
all the
to-
barbecues.
Yeah,
that
all
we
the
did.
barbecues we did, I guess, too, and
They were
a couple
pretty
write-ups
amazing,
here
the
and
people
there.
that showed up.
Yeah,
It
got a
was
lot of good
awesome, yeah.
responses, and a lot of young families definitely put their input in where they'd like the park, and that it'd be nice to have a park where they could come down and actually enjoy the day instead of going into the rink to cool down, come out, watch their kid go back to cool down, right? It will maybe green space and like have a little bit more of a welcoming, you know, environment. Will open up more kids to, you know, not be so afraid to go to the skate park because it's becoming more mainstream. It's gonna be the Olympics in 2020, so that's pretty, you know, pretty big. Well, as a skateboarder, it's always been back alley, right? So it's huge, and this will give these kids a chance to, you know, become, how weird it sounds, but professional athletes, right? It's not such a pipe dream anymore because it's, you know, it's an Olympic sport. Woo. So that's just big, not just an X Games, you know, fluke. But yeah, so the 2000 will give us this little 2D design that we can bring forward then and show you guys, hey, this is what we'd like in, say, 2-3 years, whatever our plans are. And then eventually when we have a little bit more, kind of take it to the next level, phase 2, and then phase 3, or wherever it goes with New Line, because we were hopefully have New Line help us. Well, they are on board, so, and we've had them send down little like boards, like what are they called?
Our goal, our,
Yeah, like
vision boards.
vision
We've
boards.
had them out at all of the different
Yeah.
functions that we've been
Exactly,
at.
and it's just, you know, and they're really good about helping us and even applying for grants and showing us the right way. So it's nice to have people to, you know, follow that are showing us the right ways to go about this, to hopefully get it done faster than, you know, just like, hey, spare change,
Yeah.
So it will give us a chance to actually, you know, make it more real, especially them being a pretty wide known skate park building company. They've been all around the world. They're really big, so it's nice that they'd even be interested in helping Claresholm out, right? On our quest.
Good.
How many
Enthusiastic.
kids in Claresholm have been to the new park in Lethbridge?
I've gone once. Have you guys been to the new park?
I've been to the second newest one. I haven't been to the newest.
It's really busy. It's hard to even get spots when you go. I went and skateboarded for like 10 minutes and then, yeah, it's like, okay,
Really?
well, I'll
That's
just wait
busy.
on the sidelines. Oh, yeah. Actually, those old parks are the way to go because now no one's at them. And it does bring in a lot of kids in the community, like bringing to them, right? As a skateboarder, I've always looked for towns that had skate parks to go to. Sadly, wouldn't even, you know, blink my eye at a town that didn't have something that was, you know, better than the next town or the next town, right? So you definitely bring in, you know, younger people into Claresholm. And, well, even just for weekends or, you know, trips for after school.
Yeah.
Any questions for you guys?
Just location, John? Is that what decided, Sherry?
No, not yet.
That's
yet?
another thing. We'd
Right.
eventually, hopefully, get the A-OK from, of course, you fine, ladies and gentlemen, about where it'd be A-OK. But we have talked to the town a little bit, like the community members, about where they would like it, and a couple spots have been, you know, hey, this is good, this is bad, that's, you know. And the two biggest ones that were voted on were Moffett Park, which is over behind the community center, which is pretty nice because it's right by the schools, but also pretty far away, so that's not very good. You know, a lot of younger families said they didn't like the far away one, but yet as someone who'd like to see schools, you know, have skateboarding in school, it'd be kind of cool to have it right by the park, or right by the school. And then Centennial Park.
Centennial Park.
Yeah, was the other big one. And that was where a lot of younger families were like, right here, there's no other choice. And it's like, oh, well, what about, nope, no other choice. It's like, oh, okay. But, and that's just, you know, it's right by the campground and Spray Park and a couple other kind of bigger places. And right, at least they have that walkway by Shell now where you can press the button and walk by. Whereas, you know, at least where we are currently at the rink, there is the lights. So that's one of the nice things. It's a little safer.
We had one lady tell us we were too far away from a hospital
Yeah, I guess she,
Yeah.
sadly that's actually a factor
It's
we should
actually
maybe
a
think
factor.
about. But, you know, kids are in helmets, we should be good. But that Centennial is nice because it is actually a little closer to that too. Thank you, Brad.
Yeah.
Was there any other questions for John, or?
No questions, I'm excited
That was
for
great.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Well, we will, we don't decide anything right this minute. We'll talk about it next council meeting and make a decision on your request. And I sure thank you for coming, and
Yeah, thanks a lot for
No
coming,
problem.
good job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
good
Chase,
job.
oh, Brad, thanks for your help, Susan. Thank you, Susan, thanks for listening. Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming. Oh, thank you, no, thanks for listening. Seriously, take
Thank
care.
you.
Thanks,
You
guys.
too.
Thanks for your seat too.
thanks, Eric.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm trying, you know, with the snow, it's hard, but
Yeah, the snow's
there's always
hard.
next season.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for supporting.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too,
You
John.
as well.
Thanks, Gordon.
Town of Clarkson flag right away for you guys.
Jeez.
Okay, we'll move on to bylaw 1654, cannabis consumption. First reading. Any comments, questions? Floor is yours.
No, I did, but when you read, there was some that I didn't understand, but then when you get to it references to the smoking bylaw and then the community customs, it answers a lot of
It
the
answers
questions
a
I
lot.
had, so
Yeah.
like I said, I'm fine with it.
We kind of have to be.
Well, we don't have to be, but
To me, it makes the most common sense to stay in alignment with what is already being offered.
Yeah.
Essentially, provincially, we're just applying it into our own community.
Yep.
And it's pretty much in alignment with the alcohol
Yeah.
consumption, you know, and
Everything falls under the liquor and falls under the smoking, so.
Smoking.
yeah, it makes sense to me. There's sure a lot of details to it, but I guess that's how it has to be. Drinking in hallways.
Well, it would be
Patios.
nice maybe to know where exactly you could smoke, like not cannabis
Well, it's gonna have to
necessarily,
be-
but even just smoking in general.
Yeah, in the,
Seems.
There's some.
it
green
is
circle
listed in
lines.
there where you can,
Yeah, or
Right.
like the little signs, you know.
yeah.
We'll have to-
well, if,
Have some.
we'll do it one at a time. 1654. Would somebody like to make first reading on that one?
Okay,
And we'll give them second and third, like next council meeting.
Next council
Yeah.
meeting.
okay.
I can move that we give
First.
bylaw 1654, the cannabis consumption bylaw, first reading.
Question, please.
Moved by Council Moore to give bylaw number 1654, the cannabis consumption bylaw, first reading.
The big one. All in favor?
That's huge.
Carried. Okay, we'll go to 1655. Let me just flip to it.
Be smoking bylaw.
The smoking bylaw. Is there any questions arise out of this?
Nope.
Nope.
I thought it read pretty good.
Somebody like to make a motion for 1655?
Okay, I'll make a motion. First,
Councillor Schultz. Question, please.
Moved by Councilor Schultz to give bylaw number 1655, the smoking bylaw, first reading.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, last but not least.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, just one comment on bylaw 1655, to Councillor Moore's question about knowing where those places would be designated. We actually are looking at some of our public facilities currently to determine what would be the appropriate designated smoking area at those facilities.
Mm.
So
Yeah, you've,
we are
it's,
taking that into
Active.
consideration.
okay.
okay, yeah, cause it
Thank you.
specified 10 meters. And that'll be enforced throughout the town?
So
But
when you
you-
consider like this building or the community center, or two in particular, the arena, where there's a lot of public space around, then we're trying to identify where would be the best
Where would be the
location
best?
to designate a smoking area.
Okay.
We're having
For,
problems
for,
at the community
for tobacco though,
I
right?
bet.
Yeah, yes, the cannabis one.
The
is
cannabis one then falls
by
under liquor.
permit only.
Right.
Yeah, by permit only. The problem at the community center is the distance to doorways.
Yeah.
Just wafts
And
back
so
in.
We're just, well, the bylaw says 10 meters, right, so we're trying to find the appropriate location that's not out in the middle of nowhere that nobody will go to use, so we're just trying to identify those locations.
Well, that will be a big change, because right, you walk outside, come out of the community hall right now, and I've heard lots of older people complain about you walk into a cloud of smoke, so it will be a big thing if we can get it away from the doors, but where,
Might be the middle of the parking lot.
might be the middle of the parking lot.
We even looked at it at the restaurant, and we're in the public parking lot, in the middle of the public parking lot.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't really
Yeah.
smoke anywhere, almost, is
Yeah.
what I got from all this.
Yeah.
Is basically not just cannabis smoking, but smoking in general. Pretty much prohibited in public anywhere.
Well, some of
I
these,
know.
and I can see it, like, not that I'm a non-smoker, but you walk out of a restaurant now, you walk out of the bars. That's a cloud of smoke you walk into. For people that don't ever smoke or never have smoked, it's pretty irritating. So I can see where this bylaw is
No,
important.
but I think there's also just part of humans living with each other and how tight
Give
we're
and
gonna
take.
screw the screws.
Yeah.
I think,
In
I
here,
know I don't smoke anymore and I don't love the smell of smoke, that's for sure, but I don't feel offended entering a restaurant if people are, or a
that's
bar
like,
especially.
That's like me. I don't call myself I'm not a reformed smoker that's going to be. I don't see a big problem with it. What I did, and I hate to say it, but you changed it from 5 meters to 10 meters, and 10 meters is a long ways.
Yeah, it's over 30 feet.
Yeah, 33 feet.
Another thing, the vaping as well, that applies
That's
here
strange,
as
yeah.
well.
Well,
You
to me,
can't-
vaping and smoking are the same thing.
Same.
But there's nothing, there's no transmission other than what you see,
Yeah.
as far as we can tell.
Yeah, but
from
there's
that
flavored ones.
experience.
There is an odor.
I guess if they make it
You
cherry
gotta
flavored or something.
kind of lump them together.
I
But
like how it's
Yeah.
lumped together, yes.
10 meters is a long ways.
Well, if you're a diehard smoker, it's worth the 10
I
meter
guess you're
walk.
going to go stand out in the parking lot.
True dat.
Okay, Marion,
On the
you
go.
look like you're poised.
No, I was just gonna say, the consideration of this bylaw is, the health aspect of that as well too. It's not just the odor
No,
or
it's not.
that. There is a
True,
health
of course.
effect to these products being used for secondhand smoke and vaping. There hasn't been enough, I guess, research done into
Right.
what is the effects of vaping for secondhand.
They can't tell you what's in the wine.
No,
So
well, it's chemicals.
that's sort of the premise for this as well. There's already provincial legislation in place, so.
Yeah, so we're just following.
Okay, thank you.
From a non-smoker that grew up working in bars and restaurants when it was smoking to non-smoking, I'll be happy to see it away from the doors.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments before we move on? Question?
Moved by Councillor Schultz to give bylaw number 1655, the smoking bylaw, first reading.
All in favor? Carried. Last but not least, I gotta find it. 1656. Now this one, I still have a little, the community standards bylaw. I still have a little problem with, if you're consuming marijuana in your backyard and your neighbor doesn't like it, the way it's worded, they have the opportunity to complain about it.
Yeah.
I don't really think that's,
But when you also read it, there is, if somebody reports you, they'll come back and then it can fall under the nuisance. And if you want to take it further, you can't just call and complain and send me to court.
No, they
You
can't.
have to go, so you have to be willing to go the complete distance with it. And from how I understand it, there'd be that, but under that nuisance order, I think it covers it pretty good.
but
Or if it's just one little,
I've read it quite a few times and I really don't see any other way to word it. So it's kind of
Yeah.
something that's,
Seems to me we're putting the screws down pretty hard.
well, it seems to me, we're going overboard trying to push it out of the town. I just think that's, for me, it's pretty restrictive, this one.
which one is that one?
Can I just clarify?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry. We removed the nuisance can't say the word, odor, out of the community standards bylaw, and we included that section in nuisance consumption under the cannabis consumption bylaw.
Oh, you moved it over there.
And we reworded that to fit with, there was some recommendations that came from legal advice as to how you would be able to enforce that. So if I can just read that section, maybe it'll clarify it a little bit, but we did remove it from the community standards. So, no person shall cause or permit the consumption of cannabis on property they own or occupy if the consumption is likely to disturb the peace of another individual. In considering how the consumption disturbs the peace of another individual, the following criteria shall be considered. The form of cannabis being consumed, the time of day and duration of consumption, proximity of the consumption to adjacent or affected properties, impact of the consumption on the health and well-being of others, nature and intended use of the surrounding area, and steps taken by the owner or occupier of the property to reduce or mitigate the impacts to other individuals. So we tried to soften that nuisance odor, I shouldn't say soften, we tried to define more what the nuisance odor was and what the parameters would be around a complaint that would be filed and the things that would have to be considered.
Still seems kind of, I don't know.
Well,
Cannabis is gonna stink, and if your neighbor's smoking it and you don't like it, the smell of it, you've got grounds right here to
Yeah.
complain.
Yeah.
And it can be an ongoing complaint one time after, so your phone every time.
You know, it's no different than Buddy who's got a feedlot full of dogs in his backyard either too,
Or a
right?
guy that's using his Traeger and smoking.
Right, so,
Like it's, the smoking from a Traeger, when it fires up is, and if he's using it every day, why is cannabis being singled out? I just,
what if my neighbor doesn't like me smoking cigarettes?
well, it's the same situation.
See, and I read this bylaw, and I see grounds for mediation within it. If there's a complaint, the time of day, the amount of consumption. If your neighbor is going out at 8 o'clock and having a 5-minute hoot and you're standing outside waiting for him each time, then it's beyond a consumption issue, it's a neighborly issue.
yeah.
If taking into account the impact of the health and well-being, if it's faint odor across a fence, it's not affecting your health, it's not affecting your well-being. So it gives ground for a complaint. It also gives grounds for a bylaw officer to come up and go, I understand that you may not like the odor. They're not going from 7 to 9 at night hooting in the backyard. You'll have to find a way to mitigate your complaints with each other.
Yeah,
Help each
communicate
other
the,
out.
But
So,
why
but-
would the town wanna open themselves up to being a middle person for something that's perfectly legal? Like, I know a couple of guys I know, smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day. They're in their backyard, full-time smoking, blowing that smoke over the fence. And I would hope I don't run into anybody that smokes cannabis that much, but how is it different than cigarettes? We don't tell people, you can't smoke in your backyard if it's offending your neighbor.
Yeah, but it's there that if they want to, they could. It's just nobody does, right? We're not, this
This
isn't.
is saying cannabis, it's not saying smoke.
Yeah, but it's nothing new. It's already there. If you're smoking 3
No,
packs
this
of
is new.
smoke in your
This is
backyard,
new. This is new.
it's worded that way, but right now, if my neighbor's smoking 3 packs of, or if he's got a yard full of dog crap, that's an offensive odor. I can call him in every
No,
time.
I don't think right now for our bylaws, you can call them in for smoking in his backyard.
We don't have a community standards bylaw in place right now.
No.
This is a proposed new bylaw.
This is new.
Yeah.
So if your buddy is chain smoking cigarettes in the backyard compared to Joe Blow, who, I don't know how often you use this stuff, so I'm not, but say every 2 hours he's out there, why open ourselves up to be mitigating between a neighbor who hates the stuff and somebody who's got a perfectly legal right to use it? Why are we standing
On his private property.
on his private property?
Yeah.
Why are we standing
That's-
in between them?
Where I am from.
It just seems a little too
I think it's
restrictive.
I think it'll be more there for the abusers. If my neighbor is having a joint and I walk out and say, whatever, who cares? But if he's got like a small square bale in his backyard and he's just having a great big old party, that's a different story. You're gonna have the abusers, right? I think it's there to curb them.
That's you, Craig.
It's
there to curb them.
If my mom and dad's neighbor lights up a joint and they get one whiff of it, Jason's gonna get a
He's
phone
gonna
call.
get a phone call. You're opening a can of worms.
They're gonna be,
You go to,
this isn't
I
right.
went to a 40th birthday party the other day, and I was actually surprised that 3/4 of the people in the place smoke. Well, there was clouds of smoke going across the fence. So are you saying that you get a party going on, like your 50th birthday party, 10 of your friends light up and they're smoking cannabis in your backyard? Is that clouds where your neighbors now got a complaint because there's clouds of smoke coming over? But if it was tobacco, it's fine. I just don't see how we're. This is me.
We're just opening
I
up
think-
ourselves to
I
too
think
much.
we're-
Right, I see what you're saying. It's just that there's going to be the calls, like you say, right? Somebody's going to call, I don't like this. With this,
It
Jason's
gives
going to
them
get a call.
grounds.
It gives Jason something to, he can be like, look, I can do this and talk to your neighbor about this. It gives him a tool to use rather than,
I don't know.
well, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing in the
Who
bylaws,
goes
right?
next door and
I
tells,
think you're
"Look,
missing my
he's
point.
going for it,
Why
next
would
door,
you
go
want-
on, he's smoking.
Why would you want to put Jason in a spot where he's going and talking to somebody doing a perfectly legal thing?
Because he's going to get those
On
calls.
their private
Then he
property.
just says, our bylaw says he's fine, he's in his private property.
And then but he can still do that though.
No, he can't.
No.
Not right now, he can't. He's got to go ahead and investigate because you're saying here that these people now can complain about it. So you're putting more onus on,
Mm.
I am actually, because I made the motion that we give it first reading. Right? So
no,
we'll have
no,
to give
that's,
it
first
second,
reading is
third.
just, we can debate this. I thought, I didn't
Yeah,
realize it had
This
been
is
moved.
part of the
Okay.
protocol of
Yeah,
it,
it's
right?
fine. We
This
can
is good.
debate
This
this.
is what we're supposed
So
to
that
do.
is-
2.12. What does that mean?
Let's finish with this one first.
Which bylaw are you,
Community standards.
that's the bylaw that's being debated right now. So
1654.
actually that's a valid question. The conversation around the cannabis goes back to the other bylaws, so it's, procedurally.
Well, we were on,
Yeah, we
We're
were
on the
on
community
the.
standards one, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to community, we'll come back to this. Gotta get there. Now you want 2.1?
2.1.
2.12.
Bullying.
So is this, can I ask Mary a
Telecommunication.
question?
We're on community standards.
1656.
Or
2.12, telecommunication.
Yeah.
2.12.
It's just a definition of what telecommunication is.
Is that what?
Mhm.
And how does that pertain to?
Well, I'd have to do a search in the document, sorry, to see where that is referenced. Let me just. There was a section.
And this is provincially
That would,
encouraged, but not necessarily mandated. Having this level of legislation,
Regulation with it?
regulation with it, yeah.
This
Is
is,
that part of that provincial guidance?
this wasn't,
not the community standards, no.
this was
So the
in,
community standards is basically a combination of a couple of bylaws that we currently have. There's a noise bylaw and there's a curfew bylaw, and then there's some other items within here like flyers on vehicles, fighting and loitering, those kind of things that we're trying to just establish basically a level of behavior in the community that's acceptable
Right,
by
I-
way of bylaw, right?
Yeah.
The other legislation relative to cannabis is just simply the federal legislation is here, provincial is here, and now as a municipality, we're looking at how do we now manage
Yeah.
the consumption of cannabis within our community,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with adding.
For this. We may be able to take that telecommunications definition out if it's not referenced anywhere else in the bylaw, but I'm gonna have to do a search on that, okay?
Okay.
is there anything, let's finish with the 1656. Was there anything else?
Yeah. When I was reading it, number 7, and the only reason why I brought it up, and I just might be just being too picky or reading into it, it's the
I like your picky.
it's the graffiti one. And the only reason why I ask about that one is the way it's worded, it's like there shall be like none. Now going, and I was thinking about, because when I was reading with the new skateboard park, I don't know if you guys have been in Brooks. Brooks has got a pretty cool skateboard park, and they let the kids
Paint.
nothing, there's no swears or no dirty pictures, but they let them do their spray paint art
Important, Craig.
and graffiti it up.
Difference between public art and nuisance
But it's-
graffiti.
It still fits.
Well, it's 7.2. Every property owner shall ensure graffiti placed on their premises is removed.
And
So
painted
yeah,
over.
you're eliminating what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I get why you don't want graffiti or else your buildings get painted,
But
but I
can
mean,
you
now is
have-
that just being too picky? Like, if somebody
Well, I
saw that the skateboard park
Could you
was
not add
graffitied up, would that be
without
okay?
permitted use?
Well,
Special.
yeah, so graffiti means the defacement or disfigurement of any property or object through the performance of any of the following acts. So if the skateboard park was an appropriate location for that, if that was determined, then we would just create that as an exception to the bylaw for that specific property.
Perfect.
I think if you start to try to define where graffiti would be allowed,
Right. Too
you know,
complicated.
and you may decide that the skateboard park isn't an appropriate location. It depends where it is and what it's made of and what the committee determines is appropriate
True.
for that park.
Okay, no, sounds good.
Gotcha. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions?
That's all I had.
That's it. Did we had a motion for this one, didn't we?
No.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion for first reading for 1656?
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Carlson? Question?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to give bylaw number 1656, the Community Standards Bylaw, first reading.
All in favor? Okay, first reading passed. Now, can we revisit?
Cannabis?
What I would suggest would be appropriate procedure was if you, because you debated, the clause around nuisance consumption on personal property.
Yeah.
Prior to second reading, if you wanna see a change to this bylaw, it would require resolution. So you would just bring a resolution forward to make an amendment to the bylaw to remove that clause prior to second reading, at the next meeting.
Same.
Or if you want, you could prepare that resolution tonight, but it's not going any further tonight, I guess, unless you want
no.
to debate it
Yeah,
further.
well, it's fresh in our minds, that's why I kinda would like to
Okay.
step back and debate it a bit. 4.1. Like, I know that you need some kind of mechanism to stop abuse, but to me, this one's, like, to me, you could eliminate this whole thing. But that's just me. Somebody else weigh in, what do you think?
I
Which
feel
one?
the same way.
4.1. Nuisance consumption. And you're talking, this is strictly talking on private property.
I agree, totally.
To scratch it. Yeah,
Any other comments on it? Marion?
Just for council's information, Jason and I discussed this quite a bit as we were rewording these bylaws and amending them after the last council meeting. One of the things for consideration, I guess, is we talked about eliminating that out of the bylaw. And if it becomes a problem, then you can always amend the bylaw to
Put
put
it in.
stronger restrictions within the bylaw. So that's something to consider. Once it's in the bylaws, sometimes it's hard to take it out, but it's,
you can put it in.
you could put it in as an amendment in the
Right.
future if it did become a problem, just for your
Okay,
consideration.
well,
Okay,
if nobody else got anything to
Okay,
say,
that's
we
good
can
to
move
know.
on. And
Yeah.
then,
next time.
before we do second reading, we'll have to amend, and if we agree, it sounds like we got a majority.
If I have the direction from council, we can prepare a resolution for the next meeting prior to
Well,
second.
speak up then, Gavin, what do you gotta
Let's
say
do
about
it now, yeah.
Keith, what do you got to say about it?
I debate whether having the wording there assists Jason in any disputes.
Great. Any debate you want to throw out?
No, that's, like I said, I just think it's just there as a, if you don't need to use it, great. If
But like Mary
It's-
said, it's easier to add back in, not
Mm-hmm.
impossible to take out later. Well, tough to take out.
I think I would prefer to use more caution to lay back and let's see how this unfolds. I think it's going to be a moot point. I think life is going to roll on as it always has, and it's so I don't think we need to put it in there. And put it in there knowing that if we need to, we can.
Well, by putting it in there, you're putting those thoughts in people's minds, and they're gonna go, oh,
Well, and
I'm gonna remember this.
And we do get people that complain about.
I'm gonna disagree with you and say that 99.5% of the population
Won't read
would
this.
have no idea that the town of Claresholm has a cannabis consumption bylaw to begin with,
I agree with that.
and life will roll on. However, if you've got, for lack of a better word, a party house next door to you, and 6 days a week the music is up, you got a group in the backyard, and it's a persistent heavy odor, it gives whoever the bylaw officer is at the time a tool to turn around and go, guys, can you look at this, because we've got some issues and we've had some complaints.
But you've already got noise complaint you just spoke of goes with it. Loud, like
We have
partying
lots
going
of
on
tools.
every day. You got all the rest of the bylaws there.
I'm saying it's there as a tool.
Well, if somebody's willing to make a motion to amend, we can make it now, I guess.
I can make the motion, because I made the first one. I made the motion that we amend bylaw 1654, the cannabis consumption bylaw, to remove 4.1 and 4.2, I guess.
Yeah, I
The
guess.
nuisance consumption.
Yep. Did we come up with a motion out of that?
She's working on it.
I like the curfew one. Where we can find the parents. I would have got a lot of fines when my kids were young.
Did you get a lot?
My kids
Surprising.
didn't know there was a curfew. Neither did the parents.
I'm just happy if Evan showed.
Okay, question please.
Moved by Councillor Moore to amend bylaw number 1654, the cannabis consumption bylaw, to remove sections 4.1 and 4.2 regarding nuisance consumption prior to second reading.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, we will move on to delegation response. Sparta House.
It's just special items.
That's you?
I'm supposed to have a response?
No, I just. Yes. The biggest
I
thing
don't
they
have
were-
one.
The biggest reason that they came was, well, twofold. To explain what they're doing, how they're expanding, how they got the boutique running, and the other was to ask if police could stay on their board. Now,
The
Marion and
council
me have
member.
spoken about that, and we could do it through FCSS, is that correct?
Well, with Lise being the appointment to the FCSS board, there's a good connection there, and if she's willing to continue to have that liaison between the two, I think that's appropriate without actually having a formal appointment to their board.
Is that okay with you? So you're still on the board,
Mm-hmm.
you're just doing it through your other committee.
Okay, sounds great.
That way we don't have to form a brand new committee.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sounds good.
So FCSS, be told, that's,
So that at least can mention to them that they're working.
Together.
Now, do we need a motion?
Yeah, okay.
Do we need a motion for that, Marion?
That's good, that's
We're
really
good?
helpful, actually. That's
Okay.
good.
Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's actually really good.
Okay, we'll move on. Correspondence, the Honorable Shay Anderson, Minister of Municipal Affairs. Minister's Awards for Excellent. This is basically just information. Thanking us for our work. Marion, you got anything you want to add to that?
It's just the nominations are open for the Minister's Award of Excellence in Public Library Systems. So they'll open on December 3rd and close on February 25th. So if anyone were to choose to put a nomination in for our local library.
That you,
Yeah. I'll bring this to the next meeting, I guess. Is that-
take it to the next meeting and talk to them about it. For this one, we'll take it for
Because
information
it's
for now.
addressed to Lisa.
Yeah, your chair will have it.
She'll have it.
Yeah.
And the new chair will get it.
Yeah.
Number 6, correspondence, Claresholm District Chamber of Commerce Business Awards Night is October 17th. What is that, Saturday? It
That's-
is.
Wednesday.
It's a
Wednesday,
Wednesday night.
Oh, I'm looking at November.
middle of the month.
It's the middle of September. Okay.
Next Wednesday.
I might be able to go. Is anybody interested in going to this? I think we
Missing
all,
that night, no.
we all got notifications of it. Brad's going.
Oh, nice, we're done.
Can you take it for information, and if anybody's interested,
Thank you.
get a hold of Amanda.
Would you like us to register you to go?
No.
Okay, you'll do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be a game time decision, cause I work that night, so if I'm off, I'll go, if not.
Yeah, and I gotta see how things are at home, and I'll go if I can. But I'll buy a ticket from Amanda. I'll get it arranged myself. Okay, number 7. Request for temporary parking for municipal property. Oh, this one. Marion?
We've received a request from a property owner. They've just purchased their property in Claresholm. There's some misunderstanding when they purchased the property. There's a piece that the town owns that's just north of their garage and their property. They put their motorhome on there. Their son came, helped them winterize it and tarped it. And then we noticed and contacted them about being on municipal property. They were unaware. So what they're doing is asking that just for this winter they be allowed to leave the motorhome there because it is tarped and set for the winter. They have stated that they do have insurance on the vehicle as well as they would be willing to remove the motorhome before April 1st of 2019.
Any comments?
Well, it's on grass though, right? Is that it? Saying?
It's on grass.
You think it'll be okay after 4?
It's out of the
Oh, yeah.
way.
It always
Yeah.
recovers.
It's out of the way. It's just a misunderstanding. You can see the fence line, but they understood that piece of grass was theirs also. And I don't think we want to set a precedent, but there's a lot of work to take the tarp all off that. And
Yeah. Good.
New
So I-
neighbors.
I read a couple of things. I would like to see Marion sing for vehicle parking. Did you see that?
where did you get
I
that?
saw that too. I
Sing.
saw it later today.
Oh, it did say sings for. Okay, Marion, you're up.
And
I'm gonna start
You have to
reading
really
these
read
very
them.
carefully.
and the other
You
thing,
realize I
Covers.
graze when I read, right? Because I read documents like this all day, every day.
and the other thing I had was, and I guess this would be, again, I don't know if it's being too picky or just being me, by, like you said, setting a precedent of, because it is a bylaw, and it's a rule,
That,
and that they're on there. I liked the one where, because you can give them within days, deny the request, but give them 174 days to move it, that puts them at April 1st. Then you're not breaking a bylaw, but you're also working with them.
I mean, I'd rather just be upfront and say, don't ever do it again.
Well, yeah, because they're only asking for this one winter,
But
right?
I mean, it's 174 days. To me, makes it obvious that you're just.
But I'm not actually breaking the bylaw.
But next time somebody does break the bylaw, well, you gave him 174 days, so I'll take 160.
But we get that choice. What we get to
We
give
do,
you for a
but-
penalty, right? Like
Yeah.
you're still being penalized.
You're cutting.
I know I'm splitting
We're
hairs
walking
there,
a fine
right?
line.
That's why I'm asking, is that getting too picky, or
I think
can you just,
it's either yes or no. Like, to me, what do you guys feel?
well, I thought you
I'm
were
good.
going to say no, so I'm
It's-
glad that maybe yes.
Oh, you
Yeah,
I was
They're
gonna
new
just
members.
get them out of there.
New to the community.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
It's
hell
not
of
their
a.
fault that somebody didn't tell them little chunk was the town.
oh, no, I get it. I'm all for letting them stay. I just don't want to see it
Yeah.
perceived that we're bending this to make it right this way if you.
Well,
I think
don't
it's
know
all
that that's such
the
a
documented.
next
bad
guy
thing.
that wants to do
That's why
this
You
has
people
play-
want to
to do
live
the
here
same
in our
thing.
nice town.
you play the
Right?
words so that
Well,
you're not
and
breaking it.
it is obvious. They're outside their fence line,
Yeah.
but it's still splitting hairs. I mean, come on, they're brand new to town. We don't want to make them untarp that thing and
No.
move it.
But the next guy that wants to park something on municipal property has to come
And we
and
can
ask
refuse
permission,
it.
right?
And we can refuse it.
Yeah.
But this one's laid out very well. It's explained why it happened. It's definitely a misunderstanding.
Yes.
And that green space that they're in isn't overly green to begin with.
No.
Brownie green.
It's, it's
No,
a
I'm
chunk
fine
behind
with it there.
somebody's
I
garage.
just wasn't too sure
No, I'd rather
how to
not.
play that
I'd
so
rather
that
not
somebody
play
can't.
with words personally.
Okay.
But was there anybody interested in making a motion on this?
I'll make,
He can make it.
Councillor Carlson beat you to it, Brad.
I would make the emotion.
You're
I'd
getting-
make it an emotional emotion to make an motion to approve temporary location.
I want it wrote down like that. Okay, question please.
Moved by Councillor Carlson to approve the temporary location for the motorhome storage until April 1st, 2019.
All in favor? Carried. Request for decision, tax exemption under Marion.
The copter.
I didn't want to say copter, it sounds like a
Yeah.
copter.
Copter.
So, under the community organization property tax exemption regulations, which is COPTR, there is conditions for exemption for organizations that are nonprofit in nature and do specific things. So, there's 3 organizations who have received the exemption in the past. Normally, that would be given for a 3-year basis, but we expect the regulations to change in January of 2019. And so the recommendation is that the exemption be only for 1 year so that they'd have to make application again once we know what the new regulations are. Under the regulations, it doesn't necessarily mean that the entire assessment would be waived, that the exemption would be valid. So the curling club, because the curling club and the golf club both have sections where they sell alcohol, and that doesn't qualify under the regulations. So both of those are requesting exemption for the area that does not have the liquor permit. And then the Prairie Winds Clubhouse Society, which is now Sparta House, but is requesting exemption for the entire accessible area. So our recommendation is that the exemption be given for 2019 under the COPTR regulations as they currently stand.
Any questions on that?
Nope.
If I could get motions one at a time for first the curling club.
I'll make a motion to accept the application, exempt the taxes for the Claresholm Curling Club for 1 year.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to accept the application and exempt the taxes for the Claresholm Curling Club for 1 year.
All in favor? Carried. Next is the golf club.
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Schlossberger, question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to accept the application and exempt the taxes for the Claresholm Golf Club for 1 year.
All in favor? Carried. And last, Prairie Winds Clubhouse, Sparta.
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Schultz, question?
Moved by Councillor Schultz to accept the application and exempt the taxes for the Prairie Winds Clubhouse Society for 1 year.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to request for decision, planning for growth, project name for the area structural plan. I got my vote, but
So do I.
I'm excited.
It's like thunder for the club.
Wake 'em up.
hey, what is it, Thunder you want? I want, I would go along with Starline personally,
Yeah,
because it's on the Starline,
that's the one.
runs right through it. Who's got, voice your opinions.
Wheatlands.
Wheatland?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Starline. Starline for sure.
Well, I really liked Wheatlands at first, but I think I'm leaning more for Starline myself.
On which?
Starline, because that's what it's on, and I think, I know.
We could do it by raise, show of hands, one on each one. Yes, legally.
They're all good.
Keith and Craig are pretty quiet here. Yes, not like Keith's one.
I'm trying to figure out how we get Sloshburger into it.
Yeah.
Sloshburger's Heights.
Sloshburger Business Park? No, my choice would be Starline.
Yeah.
Craig,
That was mine from the thing.
somebody like to, seeing how that one kind of wins here, somebody want to make a motion that we call it?
Well, then I will make a motion to adopt Starline Business Park as the name for the new area structure plan. Haha, there it was.
Oh, you got
I
it.
wanted to call it the ASP.
You do not say that.
I said it.
You said it, so it doesn't matter. Question?
For the planning growth project, sorry.
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to adopt Starline Business Park as the name for the new area structure plan for the Planning for Growth project.
All in favor? Carried. Financial report, August 31st. Any questions? Craig?
No, I was fine with those ones. I thought everything looked good.
We need a motion to accept the financial report for operations for August 31st.
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Schultz? Question?
Moved by Councillor Schultz to accept the consolidated statement of operations for the month ended August 31st, 2018 as presented.
All in favor? Next one, financial report, statement of operations, September 30th. Any questions? And again, we need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Schlossberger. Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to accept the consolidated statement of operations for the month ended September 30th, 2018 as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Oh, darn. Hearing aid just went dead. Number 12, information brief. Marion, the bulk water station.
Yes, so this is just to inform council, when we had Alberta Environment do the inspection of our water system, the plant and our system this year, which is an annual review that they do. One of the concerns that was addressed was that we didn't have an air gap or a backflow preventer at our bulk water fill station. And the concern with that is there could potentially be a contamination that goes into our distribution system. So we looked at a number of alternatives that were not quick fixes, I guess, is what we were looking at, something less expensive Mike came up with a number of ideas, but Alberta Environment was not satisfied with any of those solutions. So we need to put in a proper air gap or backflow preventer, and that has to meet obviously the plumbing code and so we're just informing you there's going to be some work going on there. It's going to cost about just over $10,000 to do that work, but the only alternative is to close the fill station, and we don't feel that that's a viable option. So we can fit that within our budget, and we're moving forward with it. So.
Perfect.
Information brief, council remuneration tax change though, this is one that came as a surprise.
Yeah.
Marion?
So there's the Government Finance Officers Association has put out a notice, and we're just informing council that the Income Tax Act, there will be changes coming for 2019. Up to this point, 1/3 of your salaries has been tax-free, and the reason for that is they looked at it as though it was a reimbursement for incidental costs that you would be facing as a councillor. That practice will be discontinued as of January 1st, 2019. So 100% of your elected officials' remuneration will be taxable. So we're just notifying you of that.
Didn't know that.
So you might want to
What's
reduce
that?
your
Think we got a
remuneration by
33.
a third just to
You never
offset
get anything
tax
free.
costs.
No more than,
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't know it either, so it's not a big loss when you don't know about it. So that's just information. Number 14, information brief, strategic plan report to council.
So what I've done here is just prepared a report that will be opposite of my CAO report to council meetings, just so that you're aware of how we are trying to meet the strategic priorities of council, some of the action items that we're undertaking to reach those goals. So you should see that every first council meeting of the month, an update.
Any questions?
No, I thought it was done good when I read through it.
It's interesting you
There's
read
a lot
it
of
too
stuff-
and see
lot of
what
stuff
we've
going on.
completed and how
Yep.
we've already started on so much of it. It's an interesting read.
Some of the stuff that you forget that.
Yeah, that we even said.
Yeah.
Okay, 15, information brief, council resolution status, that's just for information. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Adoption of information items, any question on any of the information items in there? If we could get a movement, a motion to, okay, a motion to accept the information items, please.
I'll make the motion that we accept the information
Good.
items that's presented.
I can't believe I said that. Okay, question please.
Moved by Councillor Moore to accept the information items as presented.
All in favor? Carried. A motion to go in camera, please.
I'll make a motion that we go in camera.
Councillor Zimmer, all in favor? 10-minute recess. We are in camera. Oh, camera, please. Okay. Great.
Make a motion to come out of in camera.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, there's some housekeeping out of this. To start off with, I'll need a motion for the sale of the tax recovery property.
I'll move to accept the offer to purchase from Jay Gusman for the property as described in the package.
Less the recommendation change.
With amendments as discussed.
With the amendments as discussed.
That's well worded. Okay. Question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to accept the offer to purchase from Jay Gusman for the property described as Lot N, Portion 20, Block 1, Plan 147N, located at 4712 2nd Street West, in the amount of $60,000, no GST, with amendments as discussed.
All in favor?
What was that
Did
number?
she-
Oh, you're not sure you heard it?
Can you
Yeah.
repeat the question,
I thought
please?
she said 6,000.
Yeah, I
No,
do too.
6,000.
I think I said 6,000.
You said 6,000.
Okay.
Can we hear the question again, please?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to accept the offer to purchase from Jay Gusman for the property described as Lot N, Portion 20, Block 1, and 147N, located at 4712 Second Street West, in the amount of $6,000, no GST, with amendments as discussed.
We're good?
Thank you.
I like it.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, if somebody would like to entertain a motion to assign Lindsay Watson to the library board?
I can make that
Councillor Moore.
motion.
Appoint. Assign's the wrong word, it's appoint. Okay, question?
Moved by Councillor Moore to appoint Lindsay Watson to the Clarestone Public Library Board.
All in favor? Carried. And if somebody would like to make a motion to appoint Doug Priestley to the NPC?
I'll make that motion.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to appoint Doug Priestley to the Municipal Planning Commission.
All in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn. Oh, Councillor Carlson is making a motion to adjourn. You see BT has hand
No,
up.
I was gonna ask, do we not have to take him off the other one?
No, he's staying on. Oh, the appeal,
No,
no.
subdivision appeal.
We don't have to make it to
No.
take him off to put, okay, I'm good.
He'd just be up.
Okay, we are adjourned. Camera off, please.